And we are back with some more Seattle Kraken franchise mode in FHM 7. And in this one, it looks like we have the World Championships coming up with Team Belarus. We also have the rest of the offseason, or I guess I shouldn't say rest of the offseason, because we're just getting started with it. So we have the Year 4 offseason ahead of us. And before we even advance today, there are a few players that I would like to re-sign who are upcoming FAs. You have Oettinger, you have Hughes, you have Kempe who would like to re-sign as well. He was pretty good for us this year. So we're going to start out with Oettinger. He had a 908 save percentage this year and the 71 grade, so we're definitely going to get him signed, preferably long-term. Yeah, he wants 7.1 for 5 years, but it's nothing we can't afford, I don't think. I mean, how much was he making right now? 1.1. All right, that's quite the difference. But still, nothing that we shouldn't be able to afford. I mean, even though we did sign Matthews in the last one, I don't think it should be a problem because we can always get rid of players like, we can always get rid of Pearson if we have to. Nolan Foote was pretty insignificant this year, only had 18 points there in 82 games played. And he's on a 4-year deal for $2.2 million, so if we need to free up some extra cap space, we could do so with him as well, I think. So there's plenty of room to work with here as far as our cap goes. So we will definitely re-sign Oettinger. He wants 5 years for 7.19. I'll try to take him down a little bit. I'll try to go to 6.79, so 6.8 effectively. But I will definitely give him the 5 years that he wants. That is certainly deserved. Ask for a response. All right, we're getting there. Yeah, we may as well just meet him there. Let's see what he thinks about that. I mean, I would hope he accepts since, that's what he suggested. So there you go. Submit that offer to him. Now, Luke Hughes, what do you want? You want 3.75 for 3 years. I'll try to take him down a little bit to 3.55. He's not budging much. Try 3.62. There you go. Rodion Amirov. Definitely want to sign this guy. He had a 33-goal season for us last year in 78 games played. He's asking for 4.12 for 4 years. Once again, I'll try to take him down a little bit. I'll start at 3.72. He's probably going to reject this, but we'll see what he says. Okay, so 3.98. Getting there. He's not budging much, unfortunately, so I think we're just going to meet him right here at 4.04. And those are the three guys who I really wanted to sign. We can wait on everybody else. And there you go. Amirov, Oettinger, and Hughes have all signed. So for the Hart Trophy, you have Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, and Sebastian Aho. For the Vezina, you have Alexei Melnichuk of San Jose, Jordan Binnington, and Jussi Saros, who is now on the Toronto Maple Leafs. You have, for the Norris, Alex Pietrangelo, Ronnie Attard, and Shea Theodore. For the Calder, you have Brad Lambert, Connor Bedard, and Matt Beignet. Executive of the Year, you have Jason Botterill, Kelly McCrimmon, and Tom Fitzgerald. For the Selke, you have Alexander Kerfoot of New Jersey, so he's back on New Jersey, the team that drafted him. Elias Lindholm and Mika Zibanejad on Columbus now. For the Lady Byng, you have Jacob Slavin, John Tavares, and Leon Draisaitl. For the Mark Messier Leadership Award, you have Alex Ovechkin, who is currently on the Islanders, Drew Doughty, and Nathan MacKinnon. For the Ted Lindsay, you have Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, and Sebastian Aho. And for the Jack Adams, you have Dave Lowry, Sheldon Keefe, and Steve Spott of the Vegas Golden Knights. And now we are on May 8th, which means we have the World Championships with Team Belarus, and unfortunately, we are facing the USA, world ranking number 1. Yeah, that's, we're definitely in for an interesting time here. Alright, so we have mostly the same roster that we had for our previous tournament with Belarus, as these are the best players in the world for Belarus, so, may as well keep them on. It appears Protas, he had a really good season this year for Washington, 73 points in 82 games played, and it looks like he's been quite a stud for a while now, so definitely going to be leaning on him to help us win some games here. You got Sharon Govich as well. You have that guy whose name I can't even be bothered to pronounce. But he's a 2-star rating now, so, and he's 18. I don't think I saw him in the draft last year, which means he might be available in the draft this year. And yeah, it doesn't look like he was drafted at all into the NHL, so if he's in the draft this year, might want to take a look at him, considering he is, as we know, he has the 2-star current ability and the 3-star potential, so might be a solid second-round pick if he's still there. And we're already familiar with what he does, right? Because he had, this year, in 22 games, 53 points in the Belarusian U20 league. Now, once again, I don't know how good that is for the Belarusian U20 league. I mean, I would imagine he's one of the better players on his team, if not in the entire league. So I'm really hoping he can help us out here as well. So obviously there's not much to be done. It sort of just is what it is. So we're just going to see if we can win this game against the US and hope for the best. So we're against Thatcher Demko, unfortunately, and Austin Matthews. So yeah, I mean, I think we know what we're in for here, but let's see it. We have, oh boy, yeah. 10-3 loss. Not much we could have done there, I don't think. A 63 shot performance by the US and a 21 shot performance for us. They got 10, we got 3. It certainly wasn't unexpected, to be honest. I mean, given that we are the 15th ranked team facing the first. But maybe this matchup right here will be a bit more reasonable for us. We're going up against Norway, the 11th ranked. Here we go, game against Norway. What do we have? We have a 3-0 win. All right, there you go. First World Championship win. Goal for Protas. And 2 assists as well. So he gets points on all 3 goals. The shots were 37-21. Looking pretty good so far. I mean, besides that game against the US, obviously, which I don't know if there was much we could have done about that, but it's a good start, nonetheless. All right, now we are going up against Switzerland. They're ranked 7. We're going in with the same lines. Let's see what happens. We have a 4-2 victory. Let's go. All right, Protas with the first star of the game once again. He had 2 assists. Then our goaltender, Kubakov, had a .949 save percentage. Shots were 39-21 in favor of Switzerland, but we won the game. So, good job, boys. Good job goaltending, especially. And unfortunately, it looks like our next game is against Sweden, and I don't think it really gets much easier from here. After Sweden, we have Denmark, Germany, and Russia. That's the one I'm really worried about. So, I mean, do the best we can. We're 2-1 so far, so let's just keep it going and hope for the best against Sweden. All right, we did have an injury to one of our players just now, so we had to remove them off the roster, but I don't think it was a significant player. So we're just going to go into this and, once again, hope for the best. Here we go. And, yeah, 8-2 loss, that makes sense. And that is a 62 shot performance for Sweden versus 19 for us. 8-2 victory for Sweden. You have Nylander, Holtz, Philip Forsberg, Landeskog, Arvidsson, Pettersson. That makes, I mean, they have basically a team full of NHLers. We don't. All right, game against Denmark. They're ranked 14, so should be a more even game here. Let's do it. What do we have? We have a 3-0 win. There we go. I mean, other than the US and Sweden, we seem to be holding our ground here. We seem to be able to compete with most of these teams. We had 34 shots on net. They had 21. Score was 3-0. Protas with a couple of assists. So there we go. We are, I believe that makes us 3-2 in the tournament. Now we're up against Germany. So, I mean, we should have a decent chance. We managed to beat Switzerland. So, and they were ranked higher than Germany. Game versus Germany, we have a 4-2 win. Nice. So I mean, once again, besides those games against the US and Sweden, we seem to be having, I'm not going to say an easy time, but we're being competitive with a lot of these teams, which is really nice to see. Shots were 38-28 in favor of Team Belarus. Score was 4-2. Sharon Govich with a goal and an assist. Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing for the most part out of Team Belarus. Unfortunately, we do have Russia coming up here. They're ranked number 6, so we'll see what happens there. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they do have a team full of NHLers. Oh yeah, Vasilevsky, Kucherov, Shesterkin, Panarin. This should be interesting. Michkov as well. That is still kind of upset that we couldn't get him for Seattle. But still, nonetheless, this should be a pretty tough game to say the least. All right, here we go. Game against Russia. Can we win? No, of course not. 8-0 loss. Yeah, I kind of expected that. I mean, I don't know what else I expected out of those 3 games against the US, Sweden, and Russia. Like, it is what it is. Shots are 64-12 in favor of Russia. So it's going to be a little bit before we can compete with teams like all the teams that beat us during this World Championship. But it's good to see us beating teams like Switzerland and Germany, a bunch of teams that are ranked above us. So we're clearly making some progress here with Belarus. So it looks like the World Championships are indeed over. So, I mean, I'm pretty happy with where we ended up. I mean, obviously, I would have liked to win the whole thing, but I don't know how, when we're facing teams like the US, Sweden, and Russia, we're ranked 15, and we hardly have, I mean, we have maybe 5 or 6 NHL level players on our roster when you compare that to the likes of all the teams we faced, or at least all the teams that beat us. We didn't really stand much of a chance. So all in all, I'm pretty happy about where we ended up with Belarus. So hopefully we don't get fired and, we can continue managing Belarus and maybe make our way to eventually beating teams like that. And the playoffs are complete, and the Stanley Cup champions are the Winnipeg Jets, who have swept the Detroit Red Wings. And Winnipeg had to defeat Calgary in 6 games in the Western Conference Final to make it there, and Detroit had to beat Carolina in 7 games to make it to the Stanley Cup Final, but of course only to be swept by Winnipeg. I don't think I want Kulak back next year because he's asking for 4.6, and he only played, I believe, like 25 games this past year. That's not worth it. I think we'll let him go to free agency. As for Nudavara, he played 37 games, 11 points. What does he want? 3.6? That's not bad, but what about Mata? Mata also played 35 games. So it appears a lot of our defensemen were splitting games here. What does Mata want? 4.5. Who would I rather have, Mata or Nudavara? I mean, they're effectively the same player, but Mata has the better ability as far as the star rating goes. Well, let's see. Let's compare the two. You have Nudavara and Mata. So offensively, it looks like Nudavara is better. Defensively, Mata is better for sure. Yeah, he's much better. Look at that positioning and shot blocking. Physically, it looks like Nudavara is better. Mentally, I would say Mata is better mentally. Yeah, so just based off that, I think we're going to keep Mata, and I'll let Nudavara walk. So that being said, we will offer Mata. He wants 3 years. I'm going to see if I can take him down to 2, and I'll give him 4.34. What does he think about that? He's set on that 3 years there. So I'll give him the 3 years, but if I could take him down to 4 mil, let's see what he thinks about that. Yeah, he's really not budging much. 4.36. All right, good. And like I said, I think Nudavara and Kulak are getting released because I really want the young guys to be able to get the majority of the time. So like Nemec and then plus any other prospects that we have coming in on defense, I think it's best if Kulak and Nudavara walk. Coronado wants 2.5 for 3 years. He hasn't been great, honestly. I guess I'll give it to him, but he's going to have to perform for sure if we give him this contract. Yeah, he only had 58 games played last year, 16 points, 55 grade. He really hasn't assimilated well. I haven't been impressed, to say the least. Yeah, I'll give him 2.5, but he really, over these next 3 years, I expect to see some sort of improvement from him. I mean, I know coach, like, regardless of which coach he's played for, he hasn't really gotten much time, but he also needs to, at the same time, he needs to play for a spot because he's already 22 and he hasn't seen much improvement. And keep in mind as well that we have TJ Hensick on a $9.6 million deal. So I think when everybody here that I want to sign is all signed, we should have more than enough cap to work with, but we should be over. I think we'll be over the cap floor this time. Obviously, just given that we have Matthews, we have Pelech still on a $6.25 million deal, still for 6 more years. So I do want to sign Madison Bauer here, as he did have 40 points this past season. So I see no reason not to re-sign him. And you know what? He's asking for 1.68 for, for 40 points. I will certainly take that. So there you go. Hopefully he accepts that, and hopefully he does, because if he, if we get more or less the same kind of season out of him this upcoming season, that is kind of a bargain. Also going to re-sign Jarventi. He wants 2.7 for 1 year. Yeah, that seems fair. I'll try to take it down a little bit. 2.4? Yeah, it doesn't look like he's budging. All right. So everyone who we have just approached has re-signed. That includes Coronado, Jarventi, Bowie, and Mata. So that means of the players that I want to sign, we still have Kempe, Liljegren, and Lundestrom, I believe. Yeah. It's worth noting we're currently at $68.8 million in salary, but also, once again, keep in mind that we do have TJ Hensick under contract still, making almost 10 mils. So we should still have more than enough to sign everybody else here. Kempe wants 6 mil for 3 years. I'll try to take him down a little bit, 5.73. See what he thinks about that. He wants 3 years. Yeah, I'm all right with the 3 years. Yeah, all right. Looks like we're close here. And there we go. 5.75 for 3 years for Adrian Kempe. It looks good to me. I'll sign Liljegren. He wants 4.3 for 1 year. Yeah, I'll try to take you down a little bit there. 4.16. It doesn't look like he's gonna budge there. Yeah. All right. And then Lundestrom, he wants 4.3. I wasn't too impressed with Lundestrom. I mean, he was okay. He had 31 points, but for the amount that he's asking for, I hope he can step his game up at some point over the next 3 years for sure. And if he doesn't, then he's probably trade bait at some point during this contract. So this looks good to him. We will submit this $4.1 million deal for 3 years to him. Oh yeah, we'll be fine for as far as hitting the cap floor, because it appears we only have $7 million in cap space next season. I don't know if that's counting TJ Hensick's contract. Probably not, just because he only has 1 year on it. So Padan, I'm not interested in re-signing, I don't think. I mean, unless he wants a really cheap contract. Yeah, all right, I'll sign him for the AHL. Jensen is mad, so he's probably not going to want to sign here anyway, because he thinks he's at the wrong level. Well, I got news for you. You are 1-star ability, so I don't think you're going to be on the NHL roster no matter what. Sebastian Aho only wants $885,000 for 2 years. I'll give him that to play on our AHL team and, be an NHL call-up when needed. And I think as far as re-signing goes, that is all I want to do. All these guys are going to get released. And we do have a few prospects to re-sign as well, or rather not re-sign, but sign for the first time, in the form of Kirsanov, Green, Gelbard, and Dower Nielsen. All of them have expiring rights by June 30th of this year, so we do need to make sure to sign all of them as well. And we have the awards ceremony. So the Ted Lindsay Award goes to Connor McDavid, the R. Ross goes to Sebastian Aho, the Maurice Richard goes to David Pastrnak, who is now in Carolina. You have the Lady Byng Trophy going to Leon Draisaitl, the Bill Masterton going to Oliver Bjorkstrand, the Mark Messier Leadership Award goes to Drew Doughty, and the Jennings Trophy goes to Jordan Binnington. The Hart nominees are McKinnon, Aho, and McDavid, and the winner is Connor McDavid. And the Conn Smythe goes to Mark Scheifele of Winnipeg. And the Calder nominees are Bedard, Lambert, and Beignets, and the winner is Brad Lambert of Buffalo. And the Norris Trophy nominees are Theodore, Pietrangelo, and Attard, and the winner is Shea Theodore. The Frank J. Selke Trophy nominees are Lindholm, Kerfoot, and Zibanejad, and the winner is Kerfoot. The Vezina Trophy nominees are Melnichuk, Saros, and Binnington, and the winner is Melnichuk. With a .922 save percentage in 56 games played, 8 shutouts. Executive of the Year Award nominees are Fitzgerald, McCrimmon, and Botterill, and the winner is McCrimmon of Vegas. And the Jack Adams Trophy nominees, you have Lowry, Keefe, and Spot, and the winner is Steve Spot. So here's something worth mentioning. We have 2 players on the NHL All-Rookie team, Simon Nemec on defense, and Roby Jarventi on right wing. All right, it is now June 26th, so let's get all of our prospects signed that need to be signed. That includes Dower Nielsen. He has 1.5 star talent with 2.5 star potential. Gelbard, he has 1.5 star talent with 2.5 star potential. Ryan Green, he has 1.5 star talent with 2.5 star potential. And Kirill Kirsanov has a 2-star talent with a 3-star potential, so definitely want to sign him. And here we go. We have our final season score. Should be interesting. We will, for the first time, not get all the negative categories. So we finally have a career score of more than 0. Only took 4 years, but you know what? That's we do get 1 point. So I think I'm going to put that into negotiation skill. So unfortunately, we do need to find a new goalie coach as Benoit Allaire has retired. There you go. We've got a new goalie coach, Stefan Waite. He has an 18 rating for both coaching goalies and coaching prospects. So he should make a pretty good goalie coach. Okay, so salary-wise, we are at $75 million, $75.5 million to be specific. So we obviously can't do too many big moves because, we have Matthews on board now. And obviously this team salary cap right now is at $89 million, but that's just the offseason salary cap. It will go back down to $82 million or whatever it is at the start of the regular season. So we do want to keep that in mind. But still, let's see who is in free agency nonetheless. There's Jacob Chikrin, who would certainly be an upgrade on defense if we could get him. But I think I just want to see how this defensive core does because, we have young guys like Nemec, who he is only 21 years of age, and he had a really solid season last year, 40 points in 80 games in his first NHL season, so I definitely would want to play him. Liljegren, we might be able to move on from. Bowie just had a solid season. Pelech, he's been good for us defensively as far as his grade goes, yeah, like mid-60s as far as overall grade every single year so far. And that's mostly because his defensive grade has been, mid to high 70s at the end of each season. So I think I want to keep Pelech on board for as long as I can. Well, as long as he continues to play well defensively, that is. Forward-wise, I think we're set, honestly, because we have a lot of 3-star guys now, and even the guys who are the worst forwards on our roster are 2.5-star players, and those are generally considered third-liners at worst. So I think, honestly, if anything, we need a defensive forward. And then I guess if we can get one, a solid defenseman who doesn't cost too much money. How much is Chikrin asking for? Yeah, I don't think we can do that. Technically, we can, but we're going to be pushing the cap ceiling pretty quickly if we sign Chikrin. We are going to need a third goaltender, though. So I think we'll get this guy, Philip Lindbergh. He has been playing in the ECHL for the past 2 years, it looks like, but he's had solid save percentages, and he's a 2-star player, so I don't see why we shouldn't at least give him the chance. And he's definitely not asking for a whole lot. Only $700,000 for 2 years. I will certainly offer you that. So I approached some additional depth in the form of Stevenson and Schmaltz, just in case we need them. And I think that's all we're doing in free agency, honestly. I want to see how this team plays out with a full year of Austin Matthews. So we are going to go ahead to the draft lottery and see where we're picking, because we do, I believe, have the 8th best odds at the first overall pick, because I think we finished 25th in the league, if I'm not mistaken. I'm also going to start Arvidsson, Onishko, and Forsmark, as they are all 2-star abilities now. All right, here we go. Draft lottery time. And yes, indeed, we do have the 8th best odds at the first overall pick. So let's see the order. At number 16, you have Florida. 15, you have Ottawa. 14, you have New Jersey. 13, you have Edmonton. 12, Colorado. 11, the Islanders. 10, Buffalo. 9, the Rangers. And do we stay at 8 or do we move up? We stay at 8. At 7, you have Nashville. 6, Dallas. So Chicago moves up. At 5, you have Montreal. 4 is Pittsburgh. 3 is Chicago. And who's at number 1? You have LA. All right, going into the draft now, let's see who is available for us at pick number 8. You have a couple of 4-star potential players. Both are goaltenders in Moila and Locke. A couple of 3.5-star potentials and 2-star abilities in Fradell and Gavin. I would prefer to get some defensive-minded players here because we have a lot of offensive talent now. Well, at least as far as potential goes. So I would like to see if there's any defensive-minded prospects that we could pick up. So Gustav Fradell, 2-way defenseman, 16 defensive read, 17 determination, like that. Career stats, 19 points in 28 games this past season with an 80 grade. What about Gavin? He is an offensive forward. So I think just based off that, I might take Gustav Fradell just because, once again, I want to try to increase the amount of defensive prospects that we have because we don't seem to have many, honestly. Oh, and there's that guy from Belarus. I guess I should learn to pronounce his name now. Yowen Miedzvedzu. That took me way too long to attempt to pronounce. I probably butchered it completely, but that is my best guess. That is as close as I'm getting. So, I mean, we already know what he's about. Where is he projected to go? He was projected to be picked at 4. Maybe I do take him with this pick. As we take a look at the mock draft, yeah, he was supposed to go 4th. I mean, honestly, he fits the bill of what I'm looking for because I said I wanted a defensive player, yeah? And he's well-rounded defensively. Well, I mean, besides shot blocking, but he can always work on that. And he's a good puck handler, he's a good passer. So he's a solid 2-way forward, it looks like, yeah. And we know he can produce at least at the level that he's currently at. And we've obviously seen him before in our tournaments with Belarus. And when comparing him to this other forward here, Jaro Schrader, I personally like this guy better. I really do. I mean, it's a pretty small gap between them, honestly. But what I like about Yowen, I'll just call him Yowen because I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce that last name anymore. That was just absurd. He has a really well-rounded physical category as well as defensive category, whereas you compare it to Schrader. Schrader has great acceleration, actually, but not as well-rounded physically and not as well-rounded defensively either. Great determination, great temperament, great professionalism, but overall, Yoen is more well-rounded. And all the other forwards who are on this part of the page are offensively based, and once again, I want a two-way forward of some sort. And then as we take a look at Gustav Fradell, he's the only other guy who I would consider taking over Yoen here. But even Fradell, as a defensive defenseman, well, I guess two-way defenseman, yeah, he's not as good defensively as Mr. Yoen here. Yeah, because he has 15s and 14s almost everywhere. I mean, besides face-offs, which he's a winger, so it's understandable. He only has an 11 for face-offs and he has a 9 for shot blocking, but once again, that appears to be his only weakness. 15 determination. Not much of a leader, but that's fine. Yeah, I honestly, even though he doesn't have the best potential that's available, I honestly like him the best as far as defense and physicality goes, because even Fradell wasn't as good defensively. And he's one of only 4 2-star ability players that's available. I think the pick here has got to be Yoen. Welcome to the Seattle Kraken. Yoen Miedzvedzu. That is an absurd name that I'm just never going to try to pronounce again, I promise you. So we're just going to make that pick. And you know what? Just so that I don't have to pronounce this name, I'm going to give him a nickname here. So I've decided to nickname him Zooey because the last 3 letters of his last name, that is the only thing I could think of. So that's what we're going to go with from now on with this guy, because I cannot be bothered to say his full name every time. So in the second round now, we have Misa and Gould as the only 1-star ability players who are also 2.5-star potential. Michael Misa, he has a 16 puck handling, offensive read of 15, looks like an offensive forward. As we take a look at his stats, 70 points this year in 56 games with Barrie, and 69 grade. All right, let's take a look at Tanner Gould. He is with the Seattle Thunderbirds. So I guess just based off that, you got the local kid here. Well, once again, local as in playing for the Seattle Thunderbirds, not actually born in Seattle. Looks like a two-way forward, honestly, based off those ratings. Positioning could be better, but it's all right. It's at a 12. Yeah, he's a two-way forward. That's what I thought. 68 points in 54 games played, 69 grade. So there's really not much of a difference stat-wise between Gould and Misa. However, like I said, I'm looking for defensive forwards, and Gould seems much better defensively. I don't think there's much doubt with this pick. Welcome to the NHL Seattle team, Tanner Gould. On our next pick in round number 3, and there's only 2.5-star players remaining in Wester and Lang, and they're 19 and 20 years old. I think we'll just take... Oh, man. Really not looking great here. Are there any 1-star abilities left? Yeah, there's quite a few of them, but only 3 of them are 2-star potentials, and only one of them is younger than 20. He's actually, Scott Shore is 17, and he's very sturdy all around, so it doesn't look like he's going to get any injuries. 67 points in 38 games played in the NOJHL, 65 grade. Let's take a look at his attributes. 18 puck handling, 16 defensive read. He actually looks pretty good. For a 1-star ability, he looks solid. 16 determination. Got everything I look for. He's a two-way forward, so I mean, his defensive read's up there, face-offs is up there. Honestly, I think he's the pick, because nobody else here really appeals to me right now. So, Shory, welcome to the Seattle Kraken. We're in round 4 now. We may as well take Wester. He's 19, true, but he's got the 2.5-star potential, and he's the only 2.5-star potential left, so we'll take him. So we're getting into the later rounds here. We're in round number 5 now, I believe, so I'm going to filter out all the 19 and 20-year-olds. We're just going to make sure everyone here is 18 or 17, I suppose. So there are only 2 1-star abilities, and nobody is above a 1.5-star potential, it looks like. So Eriksson and Caffrey, what do we have here? I don't know. Not much is really standing out to me here. I guess overall, I like Caffrey better, mostly because of his defensive category. Yeah, I'll take Caffrey. And is Eriksson still available here with our next 5th round pick? I don't think so. I think it's just half-star abilities available now, yeah. All right, so I think at this point, we're just going to CPU finish draft. And now that the draft is over, we may as well sign Zooey here because he's, once again, 2-star ability. So he appears to be ready to play in the AHL, or NHL this year, I should say. And there it goes. Zooey has been signed. He is going to wear number 91, as he did want 19, but that's taken by Kempe, and he's currently our captain. So we are going to give him 91, and hopefully he could do well for us. So with that all being done, we do have quite a few prospects looking to make a push for an NHL spot this year. That's why I didn't really do too much in free agency, because I want to see what we have in all these 2-star guys trying to come up and make the push. So that being said, I think we'll end things off here. Remember to hit like and subscribe, and in the next one, we will get to the start of year number 5. See you guys then.